Okay, now that you've got some knowledge about fractal noise, let's see if we can put this to work in a somewhat real-world example here. We're going to create a flag waving with the use of an effect called Displacement Map. So we're going to use the fractal noise layer that we create to displace pixels in the flag to make it look like it's waving. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to create a new composition, and we're going to choose the HD TV 1080 29.97 preset, set it to 5 seconds long, and we'll name it Texas Flag. All right. Now, let's go ahead and fill the entire thing with a shape layer right now. So we're going to choose the rectangle tool, and we're going to set the color to white. And now we will just double click on the rectangle tool, and it will create a shape layer that is the size of the entire comp. Now the next thing we need to do is drag out a couple of guides. So we need to hold Command or Control and the letter R on the keyboard to reveal the rulers. And now we need to set a vertical guide at halfway down the screen. So we're going to start dragging here, and notice at the top right of the screen we see some numbers. Okay, we need to figure out what half of 1080 is. Guess what? That's 540. I had to do my math to figure that out. Okay, now we need to divide the screen into thirds. 1920 divided by 3 turns out to be 640. So I'm going to drag this out until I see 640. Now that's the X parameter up in the upper right. Next thing we need to do is to color the bottom half of the screen red. So let's go back to the rectangle tool, and we're going to drag out a rectangle here to cover that part of the screen and change it to red. So let's go up here to red and make that, I don't know, kind of a darkish red. Now another rectangle, and we're going to make this one blue. Get up here right hand the corner and drag outward, and looks good. Now we'll make it a blue color, kind of a flag blue, kind of a dark blue, about there. All right, next we need to create a star. So we're going to change the rectangle tool to the star tool and kind of start in the center left over here and drag outwards to create a star. And if you hold shift, it should go straight out for you. And we'll change the color to white. Now we need to change the shape of the star, obviously, here. So let's go into this shape layer. You know what? Let's go ahead and rename this shape layer flag. And you'll see we've got all 4 of our shapes inside a single shape layer. So we'll twirl down Polystar 1, that's our star, and Polystar Path 1. And we're going to change the inner radius to about 100 and the outer radius to about 250. And if you have any inner or outer roundness, you'll want to set those to 0. And there is our basic flag. Okay, we're going to create a new solid, layer, new, solid. We'll name this Displacement Map, and let's make it about a medium gray. Okay, something like that. Really doesn't matter the color. It's just helpful to kind of see it in the timeline. So we'll click OK, and we're going to add the effect to this called Fractal Noise. Fractal Noise, there we go. We'll put that on top there, and let's make some changes to this. We're going to change the fractal type to strings. Ooh. And we're going to set the noise type to spline. And now let's twirl down transform, and we're going to turn off uniform scaling, and we're going to set the height to 300, and we'll drop the complexity down to 2. You can see already how we're kind of going somewhere with this. Now we're going to go ahead and set a keyframe for evolution. Make sure your playhead is at the very beginning of the timeline. Then we'll jump to the end by pressing the End key on the keyboard, End, E-N-D, and we'll set our evolution to 1. Now this will create kind of a slow-mo flag. If you want more evolution than that, then you're going to have to increase the evolution there to 2 or more. But we'll twirl down evolution options here now, and we'll turn on cycle evolution. And now again, to create our perfect looping sequence here, we're going to have to move that final keyframe. So we'll press U, the Uber key, and we'll zoom way in on this, and we'll push that down 1 frame to that 5-second mark. Alright, so now the next thing I have to do is kind of explain things a little bit. Let me twirl these 2 up for you. Now there are certain effects, like Displacement Map. We're going to add the Displacement Map effect here in a second. Displacement Map is one of those effects that doesn't see other effects. All it sees is what's in the base layer. So we're going to have to fool it into thinking that this animation right here is like a piece of video. Okay, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to pre-compose this layer. So we're going to right-click right here and choose Pre-Compose. And what this is going to do is put this in its own comp. So we'll just rename it here Displacement Map. And we want to move all attributes. So click on that little radio button. We don't need to open the comp right now, so we'll leave that box unchecked and we'll click OK. Now we can see we've created a new comp. Now let's drag the displacement map layer down below the flag and click on the flag. And what we're going to do is type in displacement map. There it is. And we'll drag on displacement map onto the flag layer. So let me explain this just a little bit. What's happening here is this displacement map effect is looking for changes in color or contrast to displace pixels in this layer. Now what you're seeing right now is that this effect, displacement map, is trying to displace pixels in itself. It's using itself as the displacement map. So we're going to change it to our new displacement map layer. And you're going to see it gets kind of wavy and warbly looking. That's what we want. So let's go ahead and change a couple of settings here. We're going to change the horizontal displacement to 10 and the vertical displacement to 15. And you may want to change these however you want to, but you can see how these work. Now if you get too much, obviously you start to see some crazy things happening here. So there is such a thing as going too far with this displacement map effect. So on the displacement map layer, let's set its track mat to alpha mat flag. Okay? So in other words, it's going to use the shape of the flag to create a mat. Now the flag's too big right now, so we're going to have to scale the flag down. So let's go click on the flag and S for scale, and let's scale it down to about 75%. So we can see now we've got this displacement map, but we don't see the flag. So let's turn on the flag layer one more time, and there we see it. So let's set the flag layer's blending mode to linear light. Linear light, right there. Now we're starting to see something going on. If we start to scroll through here, we can see the flag waving around, and gosh, we're almost done at this point. It's really looking quite good. But you might notice that we've got a little edge around here. We've got to kill that edge somehow. The way we're going to do that is we're going to have to add a mask to the flag layer. So we're going to click on flag, and we're going to go up here to the shape tool, and we're going to click on the rectangle tool. And what we need to do is choose this little icon here that says Tool Creates Mask. By default, it's going to be set to Tool Create Shape. That's going to create a shape for us. Now we've already got a shape layer, so that's just going to create another shape in our shape layer. But we don't want that. We want a mask this time. So we're going to choose Tool Creates Mask, and we're going to double click again on our rectangle tool, and this will set a mask for us. Now we can see the mask down here in the timeline. If we twirl that down, we can set the mask expansion to a smaller number. We're just going to go to about -5. And we should now see that that little outline around the flag disappears. So if you want to play with this a little bit, some of the things you can do would be to change things about the displacement map to create more displacement, or you can make changes to fractal noise. Let me show you one fun thing that you can do here. Now, if we double click on our displacement map layer, it will open that displacement map comp that we created. And if we click on the layer for displacement map, here the effect controls pop up. And what we want to do is click on the little lock up here. Now, that's going to keep this in place so that we can jump back over to our Texas flag layer, and when we make changes to this, we'll see them reflected right here. So we can change the contrast, or we can do whatever we want to do, and we can see changes there to this. So there's definitely some room for improvement in here. I think you'll find the right settings if you just play with this a little bit. And I know that you'll come up with just the right thing. And when you render it out, you'll get a nice little flag. Now, if you look at the instructions for this, you'll see that I've given you some instructions to set up a pole and so forth. You could make this 3D if you wanted to, and all kinds of fun stuff. That's what I've kind of done here in this example. So there's lots of fun things you can do. Just have fun with it, and if you have any questions, of course, just let me know.